Hello everyone, welcome to another exciting episode of Dayspring Discussions. I'm your host Sean McGahee. In this show we talk about movies, TV, sci-fi, fantasy, comic books. If you geek out about it, we're going to talk about it. You can listen to Dayspring Discussions on iTunes, YouTube, Podomatic, and Patreon, and contact Dayspring Discussions on the Facebook group, Twitter account, and dayspringdiscussions@gmail.com. Well, happy Thursday everyone. The sun is shining. Excuse me. Wow, my voice almost went out there. Sorry. The sun is shining here in Austin, Texas. It's still a little cold out. There was frost on the ground when I walked my daughter to school, but I think it's supposed to warm up a little bit and be a somewhat nice day, guys. So go out, enjoy it, because that's what I'm about to do. So on today's show, I only have really one topic to go through that's come up within the last couple of days. So I'm going to steer off into a few other things and see just how much time I can fill. Now, as I talked about on the last show, was the Oscar nominations. How Black Panther and Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse both got nominated for Best Pictures in just Best Picture and Best Animated Picture. And that's huge. As a comic book fan, I find that really big as far as Black Panther is. I was talking to a couple friends about it, and it's like that day years ago when the first Avengers film became a huge hit, okay? And we had other films that, did really well, like The Dark Knight, and even the other Phase 1 films like Iron Man, Thor. They all did pretty well at the box office, but the Avengers went and passed $1 billion and was a huge success and kind of made it socially acceptable now for comic book storylines to be liked by the mainstream. It was kind of an event for me as a guy who's grown up loving comic books, who when he was younger thought he had to kind of hide the fact that he read comic books a little bit because he was afraid he was going to be made fun of. It was a big deal for me, which is why I have the Avengers poster. I bought it. I still have it. It's very symbolic to be, after all those years, we are finally socially accepted. The thing that we enjoy are finally socially accepted. And this is kind of the next step in that, to where we have a comic book film or a film based on a comic book property that not just for best visual effects or, best costuming or, one of those categories, actually best picture, a comic book film best picture. So it's just that next step of gratification for a lifelong comic book fan, which I really, it just boggles my mind. We live in this day to where, all these comic book properties that I've known my whole life are coming to life and on the big screen and the small screen, and I think it's just awesome. But I sat down last night and I watched Black Panther. I had a couple drinks actually, and I was texting my buddies about kind of like plot holes or plot questions, I guess, and they were just laughing about it. I do apologize, guys. I had a couple drinks, a little tipsy, so I was probably annoying a little too much. One of my main things had to do with the 5 tribes of Wakanda. So there are 5 tribes, and at the beginning, when T'Challa is having his coronation or seeing if anyone's going to challenge him, you do have the 5 tribes there. But is the royal family part of one of the 5 tribes, or are they like a separate 6th tribe? I couldn't figure it out. Now, in his council chambers, in about the middle of the movie, I noticed there's his seat, and then there's 5 other seats, which I'm assuming represents the 5 tribes, and his mother sits on one of the seats. So does that mean that, she represents one of the 5 tribes? Perhaps? And then at the end, M'Baku comes in, and now there are 6 seats. So that couldn't have meant that all 5 tribes were there. It's like I said, just things I think about. And then the what I call the panther plant or panther juice, the stuff that T'Challa drinks, okay? So he already was the Black Panther. He already had the super serum juice, whatever, from the flower beforehand. He got it taken away during its coronation when he fought M'Baku. Got it back when he officially beat M'Baku to regain the right as king. Got it taken away again, of course, when he fought Killmonger. Got it back again when Nakia, is that her name? Nakia? Lupita Nyong'o's character, I forget. When she saved the last flower. But first off, he's already been through that ritual of gaining the Black Panther power, superpower, whatever. did he go through the same kind of coronation where he drank the juice and they buried him? And what did he dream about? Because this time, he dreamed about his father. But at the time, that first time, his father was still alive. So did he dream about something else? Also, Killmonger burned all the flowers except for one. And that's the one that T'Challa ate, drank, whatever you want to say it. So how do you get more? How do you regrow it when there's none left? No seeds to go from? I mean, I'm assuming that this thing actually, grew wild somewhere way back when they discovered it. But then, of course, they could find it, but couldn't other people find it too and then drink it / eat it and gain the powers of the Black Panther? You know what I'm saying? These are just stupid plot questions that I have. If you have the answers to any of them, let me know. Hit me up, dayspringdiscussions@gmail.com, and, of course, the social media groups. Okay, well, enough about that stupid rant, guys. Let's get into the actual topic for today. So, it was announced yesterday that Millar, otherwise known as Mark Millar, is getting an adaptation of one of his comic books. It is going to be picked up by Netflix and produced by Sandra Bullock through Vertigo Entertainment, which is the same production company behind the two-part It adaptation that is currently in theaters and in the works right now. And they also attached a director. The Lego Batman movie Chris McKay is going to be directing this film. Now, for those of you not familiar with Reborn, as they call it, it debuted in October 2016 in Image Comics and is a miniseries about an old woman who discovered that everyone who dies are reborn in a dark fantasy world with the forces of good and evil locked in an eternal war. Upon reuniting with her family and friends in this strange afterlife, the woman sets out to find her husband who had died years before her. So, it was probably maybe a year ago or so. I actually read this one. I picked it up from the library and I read it, and it's good. I mean, I love Mark Millar. Anything with Mark Millar in it, I'll check out. So I checked this one out, and I enjoyed it quite a bit. It's kind of like if you fell asleep, like you're an old person on your deathbed, and you fall asleep and you die. But you wake up, and you're a younger version of yourself, but like afterlife isn't like heaven with puffy clouds or hell with burning fire. It's like you wake up in like Middle Earth or something like that. So you have all these monsters and all these younger versions of everyone. It was interesting. I super enjoyed it. I was hoping they were going to make a sequel of some kind, but it never came out. Maybe Mr. Millar has something up his sleeve. I don't know, but they're adapting it. I like the story, so I am excited to see how this one goes. It is, a fantasy story, so you want to think about budget, especially with Netflix. You want to make sure that you give it enough funding to make sure that it looks good. Now, recently, Netflix actually raised their prices on their subscription fees. Only a couple bucks for most people, but it is because they're spending more and more money on their original content. So they need that little bit extra cash to make films like this, which honestly, a lot of Netflix stuff isn't the best. The series are great. The movies, not so much. Even though Roma just got nominated for Best Picture, it's a direct Netflix film. I get it. But for the most part, a lot of the Netflix films aren't that great. You do have the Bird Box film with Sandra Bullock, and this one is going to be produced by her as well. Not a big Sandra Bullock fan. I am. Something about her bugs me. It just does. I could try to explain it, but it would take too long. So while I am excited that this film or this book is getting adapted to a film, I'm not excited that Sandra Bullock is behind it. I hope she doesn't star in it. She wants to have a side role, that's fine, but get someone else to be the key character, please. I know they're also working on Jupiter's Legacy as well, coming out with new comics. Millar, this deal he signed with Netflix, just keeps expanding and expanding both in TV, movies, and comics, which I think is great. Like I said, I am a big Mark Millar fan, so a lot of stuff and most of the stuff that he does, I do enjoy. So I'm excited to see how they bring this one to life. It should be something special as long as the budget's good. I think it'll be pretty cool, guys. But have you checked out Reborn yet? What do you think of them making this? Does the concept sound a little weird? Let me know. dayspringdiscussions@gmail.com, and of course the Facebook group and Twitter account. Well, that was my main topic and my only topic for today, guys. So I'm just going to run through real quick because yesterday was New Comic Day, and I'm going to kind of give you some of my highlights that I enjoyed yesterday. So the number one comic I loved yesterday was Uncanny X-Men Annual #1. And the reason I like it, of course, it's the return of Cyclops. That's right. Slim Dayspring himself is back after dying in the Age of X, or what was that? No, it was the X-Men versus Inhumans. The Death of X, I believe, was a storyline where he contracted the virus from the mist that gives the Inhumans his powers. He died, and turns out that his son Cable, a younger version of his son at least, found a way to bring him back. So he's back right at the time when the rest of the X-Men, or a lot of the X-Men, are pretty much gone. So now he's got to rebuild from that. It'll be interesting to see where writer Ed Benson goes from here. But of course, as a Cyclops fan, I'm excited to see that he's back and where it's all going to go. Another Marvel one I'm excited for was Guardians of the Galaxy #1. Now, this takes place after the Infinity War miniseries that recently happened. And with this, Thanos is dead. And all these cosmic heroes come together for the reading of his will. And basically, in his will, Thanos says he's transferred his conscience to someone else. And everyone's trying to figure out who it is. Then comes his minions to cause some trouble. They take his body back. We find out at the end that Hela is the one who's behind that raid, and I'm sure she's got some dastardly evil plan in mind. Meanwhile, Star-Lord and Groot show up and grab some of the refugees who survived the attack, I guess you would say, and claim them as the new Guardians of the Galaxy. Some of them include Beta Ray Bill and Cosmic Ghost Rider, aka Frank Castle. So it looks interesting. I haven't been a big fan of Guardians of the Galaxy ever since Bendis left it, but this one seems pretty interesting, written by Donny Cates. I'm going to stick with it. I like this issue. I recommend you picking it up if you're a fan of the Guardians and see if you like it or not. Another one I enjoyed yesterday was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles #90. Yes, guys, there is a Ninja Turtle comic that has been almost reached 100 issues, and I'm enjoying it. You know, I've enjoyed it for years now, ever since it's been on. It's got that fine line between the Dark Edge original Ninja Turtles, then it's still got a little bit of that slight humor that is from the popular cartoon. I think it's a good mix. It's some great storytelling written by Kevin Eastman, who was one of the original creators of the Ninja Turtles. Things have definitely gone awry with the Turtles in recently. Master Splinter has actually taken over the Foot Clan, and the Turtles believe that is corrupting him. You have a big war between humans and mutants and aliens, and the Turtles are really all just kind of caught in the middle of it. But number 90, getting close to 100, and I'm excited for it. I enjoyed, the journey the Turtles are on. If you haven't checked out this series, I recommend doing it. And then those of you who are working on the new Ninja Turtles movie, you better check it out as well, because it's a great way to actually figure out how to do Ninja Turtles right. All right, and then finally today, kind of a recommendation is Buffy the Vampire Slayer #1 by Boom Studios. So I was a Buffy fan. I'm more of an Angel fan than a Buffy fan, but I really enjoy the Buffyverse, the mythology. This one, Boom Studios recently got the rights to the comic books. I'm not sure if they got the rights to Angel as well. I'm pretty sure it's all inclusive, so at least I hope they did. But this one was not written by the Buffy creator Joss Whedon, written by Jordi Belair. Now, normally, when it comes to stuff that Joss Whedon created, such as Buffy, Angel, Firefly, I don't find them that entertaining unless they're help written by Whedon himself. Like, after the Buffy Vampire Slayer show was canceled, they did a Buffy Season 8 comic book, and for a while it did good. But after a while, it just kind of all went downhill, in my opinion. So really, anything that's he's made that there's adaptations of, I don't think is that great unless he puts a hand in help making it. With this, they're doing a kind of a complete reboot on Buffy, mixing up mythology, and this one is where she's already a Slayer at Sunnydale High, and Giles is her watcher, and then she saves Willow and Xander one night from a vampire attack, and that's how they get into the fold. But the whole time I'm reading it, I'm just thinking, I know where these characters go. I know what happens to them. Obviously, it's a new adaptation, so they can go a completely different direction, but I've already seen the story before. And at the end, you have Anya and Drusilla pop up, which honestly, I thought Angel should have popped up at the end. I'm sure they're saving them for a couple more issues or something. But again, it's interesting to see Buffy back, a retelling of it too. I find that creations by Joss Whedon that Joss Whedon doesn't continue to write don't last that long as far as piquing my interest, but we'll see where this one goes, guys. Okay, well, that is it for me today. Time for you to fire back on the social media groups and Gmail account. Let me know what you think about the stuff I have been talking about. Go check out Reborn, of course, and then you can see what you think about them adapting it to a Netflix film. If you've read any good comics yesterday and that I have not mentioned, let me know what you think. And of course, guys, as a reminder, new episodes of Young Justice are on tomorrow on DC Universe. You get 4 episodes tomorrow instead of the 3 because they're taking a break. I have no doubt they're going to be great, just like the other episodes, and I have no doubt they're going to leave us on a good cliffhanger. We are getting Cyborg finally appearing in this. So according to my daughter, we just need Starfire and Raven to show up, and then she might actually sit down and watch the show a little longer with me. But that's it for you guys. Go enjoy your day, enjoy your weekend. Until next time, may the Force be with us all.